Guru Kripa Kevalam. Namaste and welcome everyone to Satsang today. Satguru Shimoji Baba ki Jai. I'm happy to look at any questions. Okay, some questions are coming now. Father, I think you mentioned a few days ago that practice is the same as liberation. Could you elaborate? What do you mean by practice here? It was after we played the game, it's just a thought. And the object of the game was what? Just remain fully open, fully empty. But if something, and allow your thoughts also to come and go. Okay? Allow all thoughts also to come and go. But if something you feel like you do cling on to, some notion, some concept, because if it is true that all things are perfectly resolved in the unborn, then when we find that we cling on to some notion, thinking that this is useful, it is going to help in some way, without realizing that the source of the notion itself is the supreme intelligence which is running this life anyway. So when we cling on, we believe this idea of separation, of limitation, that I am just a object in this world of time and space. So the game was to expose this thought which we feel like still meaningful, is relevant, it's important for me, for a me. So to expose this one. Then as the game got over, there was a tasting for many of you of this openness, of this effortless emptiness. And it is at that point I said that it is in this openness, this emptiness is the same as liberation. It is not like a badge of honor or something like that. You see, in this moment as you are empty, you are as liberated as a sage. So this is what I meant when I was talking about practice and liberation being the same. So it is not about the activity, but about just remaining completely non-resistive, fully open. And in this also, the truth which presumably we are seeking is completely apparent. That is why it was Dogen who said that there is no distinction between truth, freedom, and practice. That's where that is coming from. So, practice is to remain in the unborn, to remain open, to remain natural, effortless. So, if that is the case, then this is freedom. To cling is bondage, to cling is suffering. To hold on to notions is suffering. And to be empty of them, which is your natural state now, is freedom. So in the moment that I am empty of egoic belief, I am free. In the moment I am holding on to a limited idea of myself, which is the ego, I am bound. It is the same. It is the same. So it's a very useful game in a way. And I want to call it game because look at it more like a play. I don't want to make it something very serious. Because then you'll start judging yourself on how well or badly you're doing the practice. So rather than practice, I'm happy to call it a game. Just a game. Sometimes you cling, cling, cling. Sometimes you just open, open, open. But as you get used to the taste of remaining open in this way, you'll find that more and more natural. So let me just look at all the questions and then we can get to the game if that's how it plays out. How to deal with the fear/anxiety of forgetting something important, of forgetting some important work that is to be done. Mind uses this trick when I try to live in the present moment or now. Although I know it's the trick of the mind, some part of this anxiety or fear seems real. Yes. So, we speak of this often, where in a sense our prayer then becomes that, dear Lord, I'm surrendering everything to you, but just make sure you don't forget the important stuff. Is it? Is it? Like, who's doing the most important thing right now? You see? Let's say, okay, let's break it down. So let's not even talk about existence. Let's make it very, real, as the mind likes to call it. You see, let's make it very real according to the mind. It's the most unreal, but let's presume for a minute. So suppose that there is important work to be done by this body. You see? There is important work to be done by this body. What is the most important thing?
Breathing.
Breathing. Now the heart should beat. You see, the body has to be alive for some important action to happen. Who's doing that? You see? It must be supremely intelligent. Don't even have to say God. Whatever is doing it must be supremely intelligent. It's breathing, it seems to be quite consistent with the heartbeat, millions of processes in the body. Just let's stick to being the body. So, all of this is happening, and there seems to be a supreme intelligence which is driving all of this, running all of this. You see? Now, if there was some intelligence to surrender to, would it be to this intelligence, or would it be to some localized version of mental sort of conceptual intelligence? Now, look around in the world, look around in nature, look around at the sun, the planets. This entire existence, are they all thinking about it? The sun is saying today I should rise from the west. Gravity is saying today I should exert a force of acceleration which is this strong. Electricity is saying, okay, my electrons are a bit tired today, I'm going to sleep. You see? The DNA, the plants, everything in nature just unfolding beautifully. Now it is this strangely human condition where we feel like we need to understand all of this, get all of this, and then make it run the way we want. And this is a short-lived fallacy usually. So one of my favorite verses I read recently was this one. Tiger got to hunt, bird got to fly. Then
Man got to
man got to ask himself why. Tiger got to sleep, bird got to land, man got to tell himself he understands. So it's very, very strong, this verse, this sense that I must know what I'm doing, I must do it in this way, and that is what is right. And what happens when you allow things to unfold? You see? When you allow things to unfold, when you're empty of how to look at a beautiful mountain, you're just looking at a beautiful mountain. You see? And presumably all this important work has to be done so that we can come to some secure place, some peace, some joy. But when do these moments actually happen? When you're in the simple openness, simple allowing. So in a way it is like the story of those two farmers. One is just sitting, and the other one who's very egoic in a way comes and says, what are you doing just sitting around? You see? Why don't you do something? You see? So the man says, so what should I do? So he says, go sow the seeds in your field. And the man says, so what will happen then? Then when the time is right, you can harvest them. Then what should I do? Then you can sell all of your produce and make a lot of money. Then you can have a house. You see? Then you can get married, have children. Then what will I do? Then you can just come to a point where you're done, you can just sit in peace. So this man says, but I'm doing that now. So what is important? What do we give importance to? Now, again, don't make that classic mistake of saying, okay, therefore now my work is unimportant or something like that. We are just divesting it of the label important. We are not giving it a new label unimportant. You see? The same story could have been told about somebody who is working in the kitchen or chopping wood or staring at a spreadsheet as we were talking about yesterday. You see? It is not to do with the content of what is appearing. It is our idea of what is right, what is wrong, what is big, what is small, what we want, what we don't want. The most important work is, even at the body level, is being done for you. Do we have enough gratitude for that to start with? Thank you, Lord, for beating my heart. And if you don't consider yourself the body, what is the work? It is just to exist now, just to be. So, who's doing the being? Who's existing right now? Who's holding up this being? Because if this was not there, the waking state would not be. Then how will we do the work? If being itself did not arise, if consciousness did not come, then how to do the work? Empty of time and space, how to do the work? What work can we take into our sleep state with us? And we forget about death. Let's say even tonight we go to sleep. And actually every time you go to sleep there is no guarantee that you will wake up tomorrow. You see, as this. And that this body will wake up tomorrow. But still we feel like something so important is there to do. That's why sometimes the sages will say, but even more important is to figure out that one that does not go to sleep or wake up. That is not born and that is not dying. What is that eternal one? Now that seems too difficult to figure out. But the simplest way to come to that is not through figuring it out. It is by dropping all that we think is true but actually is just limited, is just conceptual. Mind uses this trick when I try to live in the present moment or now. That's what. Mind uses this trick to convince you that some important email has to be sent. You see? And in these kind of first world problems that we have, what's the important work also for most of us? It is not a question of even survival of the body usually. It is more in terms of some idea of progress, some idea of and usually it is like you were saying, that just when you feel like I can just be open, empty, effortless, the mind says, oh, but that important email has to be sent right now. You see, the world will stop spinning unless you send it right. You see? And you might leave this whole thing and decide to start your work and you might forget about the email. You see, then that's fine. Then the mind is not saying, you see, this is so important. So it's good to see that you see that it's a trick. It's already good. So play with this. Don't label anything as important or unimportant. Don't swing around like the pendulum. Let the mind do that. That's fine. And see how life unfolds. Okay? Now the mind will play this trick on you and say, but I'm just going to become passive, I'll just lie down like a vegetable all day or something like that. You see, all this is not, there is no guarantee like that. That is why sometimes I say, like the old master said, before enlightenment, chopping wood, fetching water. After enlightenment, chopping wood, fetching water. But we feel like we can either or not. So who is to say? Father, if there is conceptual emptiness, should there also be no perception? So, once you come to this conceptual emptiness, then even perception is not labeled perception. It is not to be known as perception now. The rest you have to say. The rest you have to say. Because it is not in that bracket of yes perception or no perception. You see? Like we were saying the other day that these opposites, you see, inside, outside, up, down, yes, no, true, false, right, wrong. They're a tiny box made by the intellect. You see? Tiny mental box. You see? And the distance between the opposites is just a thought. You see? The distance is just a thought. So when you step back from this paradigm of opposites, yes, no, paradigm of duality, you see, that's why it's Advaita, non-duality. You see? All of this is duality. So when all the labels are dropped, when assertions and dismissals no longer are that meaningful, then I'm waiting to hear your report actually. Beloved Father, here anxiety makes me thought locked on body and mind. It's like a lock, gut knots, panic sensations, etc. That's why the more you stay in your openness, you see, because it is in these times that all our learned knowledge goes for a toss. All our Mahagyan, you see, goes out the window. But as you start to taste your broad, open, natural effortlessness, then all these things like anxiety will also be met with complete openness. Not with the idea of fear about it. Even maybe empty of even the label. Because you never experience the same thing twice. So meet it fully without necessarily calling it this or that. And don't judge yourself and don't judge what is arising. Father exposing this as it surfaces when you say as liberated as a sage. Ramana said, the one who fell into samadhi by the Ganges, after asking for water, came out of it years later asking for water. So there were still vasanas. The thought comes, there must be lifetimes more still for this one who is nowhere near the state of even samadhi. Then I asked, who is even here? Who does this pertain to? And Guru Kripa Kevalam. And there is no way this mind could claim awakening, so that's a good part of this. When Bhagavan says it, causes the feeling that there must be more, I should be doing, but at this point there is no one here to do anything, so some anxiety comes, surrendering it and wondering what you would say. Yes. Now, that's why many times I say that for some time, let me make the claims for you. So even this claim that when you're open and empty, you're as liberated as a sage, let that be my claim on your behalf. You don't hold on to this concept. Because this concept itself can be quite a strong notion. In fact, can be a super solid notion which has some great trouble being shaken off. So you remain as open, as empty as possible. Let all the claims and disclaimers come from me for now. What I mean to say when I'm saying that you're as liberated as a sage is that there is nowhere more to go. When you're empty of notions, that's it. So all these ideas of what should happen, what should not happen, even the best way to deal with these conditions, vasanas as you call them, is to meet them with full openness. So it's all about just this right now. There is nowhere more to go. The truth is apparent, although wordless. Full freedom is here, although maybe empty of special experience. And you're free from this conceptual baggage. That's really it, actually. That's really it. Dear Father, when the negative, depressive, I'm worthless, self-blaming thoughts are appearing, being open becomes elusive. Thoughts like why me, why again become sticky and painful. Stories crop up. It reaches an unbearable state. Please shower your grace, beloved Father. All my love, all my blessings are with you. Father, when I write an email or talk, it feels like I write faster than I can think of what to write. Same with talk. It feels like the writing and talking happens, but the mind takes credit for all this and worries or judges or regrets or pats itself on the back, etc. Yes, based on whatever is the result. Is this what is happening? Yes. Maharaj said that the mind takes credit post facto. What is happening is just happening. But what happens is that if you start judging this stuff too much, see, if you want to come to like a conclusion like this, see, which is basically also has some fear hidden behind it, which is that, oh, my work can happen productively, my life will go on, you see, then, you see, then it might show you this and that sometimes, you see. So don't try to make some conclusion about this. Truth for truth's sake. Surrender for surrender's sake. And I know the mind loves to say easier said than done, something like that. The mind loves to say easier said than done, but actually easier done than said. Easier done than said. Can someone offer the dear one who's coughing some water? It's a sharp loud noise in the earphone. When it's realized that control is very important in this one's life, there is this belief that the loss of control is necessary to be free. There is also an attempt to control real. That is also an attempt to control, yes. So it's more like relaxing with control or no control, I guess. Can you say something more, Father? Yes. Like, we try many tactics and tricks like this. When we realize that one tactic does not work, we try the opposite one. If you feel like, oh, my attempt to just sort it out in this way did not work, let me just give it up. And then that will work. So, sometimes I talk about this also, where I say that, like, when you see that fighting the ego does not work, and you say, okay, I'm going to love the ego to death. But it's just a tactic. If you still want its death, then what kind of love would that be? Sometimes I hear the term being said that like embrace your shadow self or something like that. But you already called it shadow is not an embrace. No? To say it is a shadow is not a full embrace. You see? So these ploys, these tactics, that we still feel like there's distinction. We feel like still this is not what should be, but we try to make a method to try and outsmart it. You see? Now we have a smarter technique, a smarter tactic to get beyond, the mind or the ego. You see? So these things don't work because they are all about distinction still. So it's like the same as saying just be. And the minute you try to just be, you're not being. Like Guruji says, somebody says, just be natural. Naturalness is gone. So this natural openness, this self-recognition, this freedom cannot be strategized, cannot be controlled, cannot be. And our attempt to drop control sometimes is to get control. Only if I drop control, then I will become free. We're still attached to an outcome. Still want control by trying to get their progress faster or something like that. I think the best way to do that is to drop control. So if it's still about ploys and tactics, then it is really not it. It is still in the conceptual boundaries. You still consider yourself something tiny, limited. Okay, so shall we play the game for a bit before you go off for the Sunday? So the rules of the game are someone new, so I'll share again. That remain as open and empty as possible. Let everything come and go, which it is anyway. When you find that this thought you cannot let go of, you have to cling to it. So you're basically identifying the source of your suffering, the source of your egotism. Or it could be a thought which you think that I'm definitely right about this. I know what is happening and this is what it is. So clinging to any notion like that, which we feel like is a valid representation of reality, which no thought ever is. We have never actually known mentally what is going on. You see? Our need to be right, of course, hates hearing that. We hate hearing that we've never been mentally right about anything. So, anyway, so the point of the game is just when you cling on to that, when you feel like this, I cannot let go of, expose it loudly to everyone. So don't judge yourself on it, whether you're being good, bad, and nobody is to judge whatever comes out of your mouth. Just playfully, naturally, openly. So we got it. Just be open, empty through whatever is happening. But if something you feel like is a valid conclusion, you can expose that. And somebody said the other day that I have the best role in this game, which is to point out to you that it's just a thought. But my children are not very scared of me, so as I expose also some thoughts that I might cling on to, you can also say, Ananta, just a thought.
He says that is also a thought.
So, is there any other rules to this game? That's about it. So, just whatever it is, empty. Past is gone, everything is gone, you're fresh, mind is gone, everything is gone. Allow everything to unfold naturally. Treat it like an infant child. Don't claim to understand what it is. With the innocence of a baby, meet your life and whatever it is showing you. Allow all thoughts to come and go. But if some judgment, some interpretation causes this loss of innocence in a way, then you expose that. Otherwise, just enjoy yourself like a baby.
burning stop?
When will this burning stop? It's just a thought.
I think I'm doing good with not making a conclusion.
I think I'm doing well by not making a conclusion. It's just a thought.
The road trip is pending for a long time.
The road trip is pending for a long time. It's just a thought.
Doing it right.
Huh?
Okay, I'm doing it right.
You're doing it right. It's just a thought.
You don't want to get me started.
It's just a thought.
Let go.
Like how is also just a thought.
Having this fear of being judged because I always come late.
This fear of being judged because I always come late is just a thought.
I love what she said.
It's just a thought.
I'd like to know in what direction this life is going.
Like to know in which direction this life is going is just a thought.
Should I ask a question or you will say just a thought?
Yeah, that's true.
Would I ask a question or not? Because you will say it is just a thought. It's not just a thought, it's true.
Just say it's a thought.
Tell me something which isn't a thought.
Don't want to say anything.
That's also just a thought.
I'm experiencing headache.
I'm experiencing a headache. It's just a thought.
But she's
More than-
experiencing it,
Not
right?
just-
She's experiencing it. How can it be a thought?
So, the notion of headache, the label is just a thought.
And the pain?
So is pain is also just a notion.
Just. We have a domestic issue here.
Just a thought.
Yeah.
It's just a thought.
It's just a thought, it's just a thought.
Yes, it's just a thought.
If she's getting pain in her head, how can it be a thought?
The idea that this is pain and this is pleasure is just a thought. What is just is.
And that cell which is bursting in pain,
That notion is just a thought.
there's a sensation of that, right?
What is just is. Our interpretation, our judgment of what it is just a thought.
Can you elaborate that?
Yeah? It's just a thought.
Father,
There are a couple of first timers.
is it what she's pointing, or what you're pointing to? Because like when I had, sorry to make it a bit longer, but
Long
when
thought.
Can we pause that? Okay. There's headache, that's like a sensation. And then I didn't want to say it because I thought you say it's just a thought.
Yeah.
But actually, I think the problem is more the judgment, as you say. You know, the judgment is like it shouldn't be there, or it's not that good. The other thing is better. I think this is the one you're referring to. If it's just a sensation, I mean, there's like causation in my
We
head.
often talk about this where we say, okay, Ananta, so what's wrong with the thought the coconut is green? It's just a representation of some phenomena. You see? Firstly, uh, that we have no real idea of what actually it is. You see? Whether perception is giving us valid or it's just a memory or imagination. We don't know any of these things. Whether this is just a dream, we don't even know that. You see? Secondly, like you said now, which is that very quickly we'll start making judgments on green is better. You see, I like the ones who are very green, I don't like. You see, so me comes in very quickly. Even though the initial bait might be just, I'm going to represent something very phenomenal. You see? You quickly find that your preferences, your likes and dislikes, and what you are, you see, the limited one, and what you should do about it, like a limited viewership, will soon follow as soon as you make a representation. You see?
But is that a thought?
Huh?
What you say is clingingness to the thought, right?
The label is the thought. You see, even every label is a thought.
Well, see, this is coconut is green, but then you say, I like the coconut is green. So the likingness is the one that you're pointing.
Yeah.
But that cannot be a thought. Liking is what? The liking part as a, if you open the liking, what will you find inside?
Just a notion that this is what I like or dislike, because who is the I being referred to there?
But, but liking and disliking is a thought or something else than a thought. So coconut is green is a thought, I understand. But then you say
I like green coconut or
like
brown
is a thought,
coconut.
but it's not a thought.
Like is not a thought, then what is it?
I'm asking you.
It's just a thought.
Or a belief or
Only
choice.
thoughts can be believed. Like, we've done this before, have we? Just believe this. What are you believing?
I'll just represent what I say, what I see and what I know. This is a glass full of water. But I say, I don't like this in your hand. It's a different thing than a thought. Liking is, I'm just trying to make a point on my experience. That I don't see that as a thought. I'm not able to understand how you say it's a thought.
If you say, okay, let's define what we mean by thought.
Yeah.
The energy construct which is appearing, which has a particular message about it, is what we call the thought, isn't it?
Yeah.
Now you say, I am seeing a glass, that is a thought, that is clear. Now, what is after that?
No. What I'm saying is what I see, I'm representing it.
Yes.
How that is a thought? Because what I see, I represent.
Yes, but are you really representing it?
I mean, what I see, I'm presenting as is.
No, you're not.
How?
Okay, present this room as is.
No, this is a glass. Right?
Okay.
So isn't that true? I mean, what I see, I'm representing that.
The label glass, you see, is something that we have given to this, but it applies to just a broader concept, like everything that is made of a particular material. You see? And within that is all the notions about material that
Correct.
you see, so the entire, like I talk about the dictionary,
Correct.
it's like when one word, the entire dictionary is there.
Correct.
You see, because every word refers then to all the other words. It in itself, what is it?
But then how does that, a representation of that is obstructing my openness? I'm just representing the glass. I'm just telling it's a glass. How that stops my openness?
Yeah, so because it gives you the foundation, the fertile ground on top of which all judgments are built. You see? Just like, that's why I talk about the baby or a plant or a bird. You see? A baby is not born saying, okay, now time to cry.
Yeah.
You see? Or time to drink milk from the mother's breast. You see? He's not saying that, and yet all those activities happen.
Right.
You see?
Right.
When we start representing it in these terms, that's when we start saying, okay, this is what should be, this is what should not be, this is what I should do. You see? Instead of just a simple allowing of all of this to unfold, then this limited I thought is picked up around, centered around any thought is the limited I thought. So, so even a very simple, like that's why I talk about this green coconut. You see? Like what could be the harm in that? I'm just saying the coconut is green. You see? Because just around these simple terms, you will make a idea of a representation of time and space, which again you cannot truly testify to.
Okay. But saying a glass, don't you say it as a glass?
Don't I
you
see
say
it? No.
as a glass? You don't see it as a glass?
You also don't see it as a glass.
Okay.
You label it as a glass, or I label it as a glass later, but I don't require to have the concept I am going to drink from a glass to drink from the glass.
But that's not a thought. You're talking about a thought of the cleanliness to the particular choice of towards that thought. Raga dvesha, in other words, anything that you have raga
Yeah.
or dvesha.
But unless you have the base concept itself, you see, that this is what it is, I am representing reality or what is in this way, and that representation is a valid representation. As you start checking on that,
Right.
you start to see that all these claims start to fall by the wayside.
So let me try to understand in my
Yeah.
terms that. So you say that taking a position is itself is the first step that you should not
Exactly.
take. Should not be is just a terminology that I'm using.
Even
But
should not
taking
be
a
is
position
also
is it's
position.
also a not valid thing. So
Yes.
telling glass is a taking a position, and then all it follows after that.
But there's nothing wrong in saying it's a glass. It's saying it is a green glass or a transparent glass, or I like it or don't
Yeah.
like it. That's the.
But it's
That's
a
the
presumption that we
identification,
know what
right?
it is.
Some of it is involuntary or conditioning,
It is conditioning.
and if it's not affecting the self, then why should it matter? It starts to affect the moment you judge whether it's green or black or whatever it is, right?
That's what I'm saying. So the minute you start to judge, unless you have the labels for it, you cannot make your judgments.
Even if it's a glass. So what if it's got a label? If it doesn't affect the self, it doesn't matter.
Even the self is labeled actually.
So true. If it's lying there, not doing anything to
And
anybody.
the self is
then-
where?
Well, if you split it and say, I mean, if you can identify the glass as separate, then it's two things.
Then it's
Then
Dvaita,
there's no
then
self.
it's not Advaita.
Then it, yeah,
There's a glass and me. Inherent in the representation that this is what it is the idea of separation.
Yes.
You see, immediately you didn't even have to spend a minute on it. The minute you said, okay, that is there and I am
I'm
here.
here, exactly.
You see, so the distinctions get made in that way. You see, and this is the root of all the struggle, all the trouble.
So if there is full recognition in the self, it doesn't matter whether it's a glass or not glass or transparent or there's water.
There's no need for, and we're using a representative example. You see, but our life is full of this. That is another person. He is doing this. She is doing this. You see, I am sitting here. I am this one. You see, all of this distinction, all of this separation comes from this. Because we think we know. Now baby doesn't. The baby is not suffering, they are existing. So why did Maharaj say that you are not experiencing suffering? You are suffering, you are experiencing. Because we think we know what it is. You see, we think we know what something represents. And that is at the root of all suffering.
But without a discussion, without an object of discussion or vichara, we won't be able to come to this kind of conclusions. Not conclusion, but the experiential.
Yes.
So you
So-
say
so-
even all this is an objectified, right? Our discussion from the third party angle.
Of course.
It's like an objectified.
All languages.
Then
all-
how can you say it is taking a position that is wrong because it's identity or as an event base, like we had this discussion and third party is watching us, and he might get or he or she might get a one click which relieves this.
Yes.
But this whole event is kind of a glass for it because it is trying to understand from the outer event, right?
Yeah.
Are you getting my point? I mean, I'm really being I'm trying to make
It's
the
okay.
point,
It's
but
okay. I'm getting some sense of it. Which is that,
we
so the
don't
point,
represent all this.
if-
We don't even
if-
discuss.
if-
How will you know? So even discussion is an object,
yeah,
a glass.
yeah.
Then it is needed. Then how can you say it is not needed?
So I didn't say the glass is not needed.
Yeah.
You see, I'm saying that if the point of satsang is to come to a mental understanding, then that understanding is not valid like all other understanding. You see, the point is to push you out from this conceptual box and to see yourself in a broader way. You see, right now what is happening is that you might say there are 20 people sitting in satsang hall and that's what's happening. You see, but is that it?
So, I mean, but isn't that your perception changed? Suppose I came and we never had this discussion, and I had a different perception about all this. After a discussion, there is a cognitive shift. Now I say no, there's not 20%. So it's again a relative term. I mean, I'm sorry, it's not relative, but it's more of a perception. So yeah, of course I should open that with them.
So let's then find where to meet, which is that, okay, you tell me what is now, and I will tell you what is now.
It's
What is apparent to you now?
I mean, I don't know how to explain a plane that I can right now. So you want me to go inside and tell you, or what I see?
Where will you go when you go inside?
Inside the sense what I perceptually feel right now, what I can tell you about it.
Yeah, this I that perceptionally feels, when you go inside, what will you go? Because that's another label, you see. When you say I go inside, you're visiting inside the body, you won't
But then
find
how can I objectify
label.
for you to understand it? How can I explain in a language?
It's exactly the point I'm making, that what is cannot be explained in language.
Okay.
You see? These labels are at best just like some sort of photocopies of what is. And
Isn't
what
that
is
not
only
important?
phenomenally.
Isn't that not important for this conversation to happen and to really take me to the point where the words will not matter? But till all that point, words will matter. No?
It is only important to the extent that you have these pre-existing conditions that you take to be true. When you are empty of them, then no conversation needs to happen.
Correct.
You see? It's like if you've gone to the right path, then you need to be pushed to the left, you see, till you come to your neutrality. So the object of the conversation is not to create new conditioning, but to see that the conditioning that we hold on to is not valid and we are empty of that. You see, like Bhagavan said that the coming to the truths or coming to true knowledge is just the dropping of ignorance or dropping of that which is false. You see? It is not to come to new conclusion that this is the truth. Vibhu said that I want you, in a way, I'm paraphrasing, to be rid of the duality of even I am Brahman. You see? Because even in that assertion I am Brahman is the possibility that you could not be. You see, so the duality is inherent in all statements, including the words of Satsang. You see, sometimes these days I call it a special brand of nonsense. You see, why a special brand of nonsense? Because it has a dilutive effect on all the other nonsense that we believe. You see?
No, I understand. I see that. I see that.
Now, beyond all of this understanding and what you may not understand, what is there?
Come again, I was.
Beyond whatever might be in your conceptual box of understanding,
Yeah.
and whatever might even seem like a grey area of understanding, beyond these opposites, beyond this duality, what
I
is
had that, but that got triggered because when I was looking at what you said, I had this thought that you said just be childlike.
Yeah.
Attention should be wherever it likes, it should go. You don't control it.
Yes.
So that point got relieved that what does child know? Nothing. I mean, it's just an attention.
Let's take
innocent
another.
attention. It goes
We'll take
anywhere.
some examples. You've not been for some time, but one popular example that I've been taking recently is that the bird could be newborn. You see, could be a few months old, but the season changes and it has to migrate north. You see, it's not thinking about what is north. It doesn't have the idea of migration, yet it finds itself flying. So these notions, these ideas, and we've been exploring some of our most common ideas now. My wife might again react to that. It's saying that Even the notion up or down is with reference to what?
Yeah, I mean,
You have to place yourself
yeah.
in the limited reference point of body and give yourself a limited boundary before you can even say up is up and down is down. Same for inside and outside.
Yes.
You see, it's very popular for us to say when I go inside and check, but where do we go? We don't even know that. Where do we go? Not the body. You see? I go inside, but when I come outside, I get stuck. You see, what are we talking about? What is this inside where we go? You're not visiting your bones, your flesh, your blood. Where do you go? So even this very fundamental, you see, construct of opposites inside and outside is seen through. Or at least can be admitted that I don't know. You see?
But isn't that practically required to function?
Yes,
At least.
that's what I'm saying. So the bird is impractical or practical when it flies, migrates north?
Well, I'll just be brutal on that opinion. I don't know what bird thinks, but I know what can be child because I can see that
Yeah.
and I can be a childlike when I can. So I can tell you from that perspective.
Yeah.
But when I
So
go
how
and
does the
function in
child
my
manage?
office, I mean that's what I told you. I mean, child manages like it's pure innocence. It doesn't
Yeah.
know or want to know, doesn't want to. There's no position,
Yeah.
as you rightly pointed out.
Any similarity you see between the sages and the child?
You do have an opinion. You say that is not correct. You right now says you only tell right. No, this is not right. Isn't that an opinion? Isn't that something experientially that came to you and you understood? Understand is a little afterwards, but then say no, Darshan, this is not right. This is not appropriate right this moment. Isn't that an opinion?
To say that it is not right is not to hold the opinion which would be to hold the opposite of it. If you were to claim the opposite also of it, I would say no, even that is not right.
Slow can be a little bit slow.
Yeah.
Can be a little
So
bit slow.
automatically what happens to us is that if left is asserted to be false, then we presume automatically that right must be true.
Correct?
And that is what you would call an opinion.
Yes, right now.
Now, what I am saying is neither this nor that.
Yeah, positionless existence.
Yes.
That's what you call it,
So it is empty of this. You see? So the concept which is being used to communicate that is just like that thorn being used to remove the thorn.
yeah.
You see? But without attachment or saying that's why I said there's a special brand of nonsense. Without attachment to the notion that this is like especially true. You see?
Correct. Okay. Now I see.
So, like Maharaj said that the only truth that can be spoken is I am, but even that is not true ultimately. You see? So to negate opinions and not go to the opposite of them, claiming that the opposite is true, is to be empty of both sides of the argument. You see? You see? Now, what happens is that, and it's popular also in Advaita if you say that, I'm not the doer. You see? Okay. So then we can pick up the idea that that means I should do nothing. But that is not what is being said. You see? What is being done is that these notions which we think are representatives of reality are being seen through. You see? And you're seeing that what their claims to being the truth are actually not valid. And in a sense, why is this shared like this? There's no why really, but as part of this play that we are doing called Satsang, because it is these limitations which make us believe that we are limited. You see? Like any representation that we believe about separation then makes us feel like I am a separate object. It's coming from that point of separation or individual egoistic belief.
No, actually, so I understand your point of going back to the same point, I think we're going back to the glass. So
Yeah.
when I say it's a glass, that means it is not me.
Yeah.
It is a glass which is separate than me. Yeah, it's not about molecules or what as is I
Yes.
say, but it is not me is a point.
Yes. So inherent in all these labels is the idea that that it is separate, and the idea that I know what it is. You see? Because when we were learning all of these things, we were told by our parents, because we were complaining, why do I need to learn all this? You see? I said, you need this to run your life, to live your life. You see? But life was fine even before that. But this idea then clung on, that I need to know what something is. But we've never known what it is. You see? Like, what is a glass? You see? An object used to carry liquid or something like that. You see? Or you could say a material. You see? And then you say, okay, what is an object? You see? Then you ask some other. You say, what is that? You see? So, as a speaking software language for a minute, when you add that layer of abstraction on top of it, you have this sense that you know what it is. You see? You have the sense that, okay, I have understood what glass is. This is what it is. But actually, it takes us away from this wonder of not really knowing what it is. Of meeting it empty of our notion of what it is.
Then I think I'm mixing two things. But then, don't you go to office and you talk to people
Yes.
and you have opinions about something? So we are not talking from that angle, right?
Yes,
We're talking about
we are
something.
talking about attachment. We're just talking about attachment. You see? We're talking about how attached are we to our idea of this is what it is. You see? Of course, conversationally, all these things will continue to play out, but it's not about that. It is about how much we feel like we are attached to our photocopy. You see? And in a way, it is like that elephant story. You see, elephant with 6 men, you know the story?
No.
6 blindfolded men
Okay.
are trying to decipher
Yeah.
what it is, and everybody has their own perspective. You see, so one is holding on to the foot, saying it's a pillar. You see, of course I see it's a pillar. Now somebody who says no, it's a rope. You see, what do you do with that one? If it's clear to you that this is what it is, then when someone comes and says, but it is not that, what do? You argue. You see, you debate. And then you can say, you can never understand me. You see, why? How come you never see things? I'm taking it in a different context. So, this kind of thing.
She went.
So this is what. So when we have representations of what we think it is, then, and these representations are different for everyone. And that is where the point of disagreements, the point of all of this comes. But actually, it's a avoidance of meeting yourself in the recognition that you don't know what it is. Like, just to have the label glass, it's just a representation. What is it actually? And you can say molecules, but what are molecules actually?
No, if you go that way also, it is nothing.
You see, yeah, exactly. The game went to the toss? Or is that just a thought? See, this is how it is. This is how it plays out. But this is that. What do you mean? You see, it's just like everything else might be fine, but how can you say this is not? You see, this thing. So this is a very good example of how life plays out and how we say, okay, of course. You see? When we claim to know that we know what something is, that is the doorway of trouble. Because we don't know. Show me one thing that you actually do know.
So basically, it's a childlike innocence, and so I'm just having a conversation. We shouldn't be mimicking it, right? It should come with understanding, right?
Of course. Very innocent.
And there is no way revealing what I understand. There is no way that you can mimic and be there, but unless you don't have that understanding.
Well, even that to say is to take too strong a position. Some maybe can fake it and they make it.
But is that true?
That's what I'm saying. There's no template. We can't say this or that.
Oh yeah, okay.
Really. Who
So
knows,
for
if you were to
some
mimic
for
your
some
children, your babies long enough, that might be all you need. Who is to say?
So there is nothing to say anything.
But even that is not true. That's what I'm saying, that if X untrue, then the opposite Y must be true.
Yeah.
This is very common now to hear in Satsang. Like, that means I should just sit quietly. You see?
Yeah.
But we can't conclude that also, because outwardly you may be sitting quietly, but inwardly one.
Engineering and theory just come to the conclusion through the theory.
Can I expose the thought? To fulfill the role of a daughter, and the painful part comes when the inquiry appears, like, but what is a daughter? It is
So, I have to fulfill the role of a daughter, and then the question comes, what is a daughter? So, what is the painful is the implication. The painful is not that it's not healthy to just look at what the term means. The painful is that if I see through it, that the daughter is just a concept, then I will disown my parents or something, or I will not take good care of them. But these are all just presumptions. What I'm speaking of has nothing to do with the actions of the body. It's just our attachment to this limited notion of ourselves. Because what is the mind's alternative to being a daughter? Like, I am nothing to them. You see? But isn't being them more intimate than being a daughter? So the mind will always tell us these horror stories. Oh, if I'm not a daughter, then I must be like nothing to them. But still, from this limited perspective of I am the body and they are the bodies, I'm saying that if there is no distinction at all, is there a greater love than just one being? Yes, same. When we say no guru, no disciple, like I was saying that it's still like even I hear something like that, like no guru, something is still pinch a bit, you see. So, but because the mind has this alternative, that means, like, what does it make me? Really? Just this isness. Which says, okay, if I'm not that, then I must be just not. See? So it takes to mean like an emptiness of love, or emptiness of empathy, or emptiness of all of these things, you see, which is not what is being spoken of. It is being empty of these notions that we carry, that burden and make this world seem so small, and make ourselves seem so limited. What are you without your boundaries? You have to taste that and say, you see. If you find okay, then you just become like a nothing, smaller than an insect or something. You see, then you tell me. You see? Who are you in the unborn? When you are in this sort of suffering, in this kind of thing, it's a great opportunity to check. It's a great opportunity to check what conclusion you're making. And as you start scratching and seeing the validity of this conclusion, you find what is it about? You see? Like, let's further explore this particular question, because it's very primal in a way. So there's fear or suffering which arises to explore what is a daughter, because the fear is that, but then that will go and it will be replaced with just like, you'll become like casual strangers or something. But nobody is saying that. That is just the mind's Quasimodo. Guruji talking about the mind saying, but then I'll become like Quasimodo. It's just versions of that. It's all different versions of that. I'll forget who my family is. I'll not recognize them, or I'll treat them like, they're strangers. This is all just ideas. Because we fear the unknown so much. We fear the unknown, what is going to happen. If I truly explore what is the truth, and what happens to all my support system, all the ideas that have built up over the years, there will come a time where you just, upon hearing stuff like this, you will not use any of this also as a conclusion. You will just empty yourself from your conclusions, and It doesn't need to be replaced. You see? It can be plucked out, you see, but it doesn't have to be replaced with fresh thorn. Because if I am not daughter, then what am I? Okay? And something may have liked hearing, but then you are them, or something like that. Then okay, that is some comfort or something, is it? Or there's full oneness or something. But throw that away also. That can seem a bit scary. You see? That can seem a bit strong. It's just the mind fear mongering.
Yeah, it's like it doesn't seem like, oh, so for example, like I'm not their son, or I'm not their daughter,
Exactly.
therefore I'm not going to send them a birthday card. Or I'm not, there's no therefore. It's like
Exactly.
like there's no conflict in that space. There's no therefore, like
no cause and effect. No because this, therefore this.
yeah.
Hey, what is the term because? That this is the cause of that. But the only cause is, if you have to say it, is consciousness or God.
But then looking at that, like many actions, like what we have done to the family, like it is not like preceded by the thought like I'm a wife or I'm a daughter, like
Yeah.
I'm a mother.
He says many actions that have happened to the body have not been preceded by the notion I am the wife or I am the husband. It just happened. Yes.
So it may not like we may not
Exactly.
go through that thought.
It is not to do with outward actions or the lack of them.
What stops that? The first lead towards a no, it's a fear, I know, but it's like you're saying, don't take any position, and you're not daughter. If you're not daughter, then what are you? But it can be, you don't know that right now, so don't know is the first step. And taking towards that shift.
Don't know is the only step needed. Is it?
But you said there is a
Because-
fear of unknown.
Yes.
So how
That
do you
is it.
see that unknown? How come a fear of unknown can come if it is not known? I couldn't
You
relate a fear
fear
and unknown.
that which you can't conceptualize or don't have the best concept for. You see, that is the unknown. In the sense that, okay, now he said a glass is not a glass, so I don't know what it is. You see, then what is left of this world? You see, what am I doing? That kind of thing.
How come that fear got programmed of unknown? That was my question.
How come?
No. What I'm verbalizing is like fear also is an aspect, right?
Yeah.
And we say fear. I was not born with this fear of unknown, but it came.
Yeah.
But how it?
No, part of it we spoke about, where we said, what is the problem most of us have when we come across a sharing like this, like let go, remain in the unborn. It is, but then how can I run my life, live my life? You see? So where did that condition also we were not born with? It was taught to us. Like I said, when we were resisting learning this, everyone said, no, but you have to know this. You see? You see? And when sometimes maybe happening with your child, you say, where's your head? They point at your head and say, head. No, your head. You see? You tell, and they're like, for a while they're just very bemused. Your head, my head. You see, this concept doesn't make sense. But as parents, seemingly well-intentioned, you see, they're saying that this is how you have to run your life, live your life. You see? That's why now when it's being asked to come back to innocence, it's like, but how will I run my life? You see? And then they say, but are you running your life? No, but let's talk about practical thing. You see? Like, there are two modes in this life. One is practical and one is like satsang. It's all made up. It's all made up. Father all day today have been believing the thought that not sleeping for 21 hours, Father all day today have been believing the thought that not sleeping for 21 hours after 3 hours of sleep and driving 16 hours of this 21 hours is dangerous. Very reluctantly handing it over. Worry a lot about dangerous things and struggle not to believe the thoughts around them. Yes. Yes. So this is the nature of attachment, you see there. Now, again I'm reiterating over and over again that this is not to do with what unfolds through your mouth, you see, or your hand. Like you may hold on to him and say, you're not going anywhere, and you'll see this unfolding naturally. It's not about how actions will unfold outwardly, but inwardly to check that, do I really know any of this? And another who's claiming that he knows it is this way or that way, do I know whether he knows or he doesn't know? We don't. From the space of inner allowing, just like checking, what do I actually really know? And also, what is it bringing to me? What is it bringing for me? I can't even claim that because I know this, therefore I'm acting this way. Father Ananta, who are you? I don't know. Good for today. Thank you all so much for being in Satsang today. Sadguru Shri Muji Baba ki
Jai. Sadguru Shri Ananta Ji ki Jai.
Guru Kripa Keval.